if you know someone who's going through something, like, it's almost like don't ask, just do. Because no one's ever going to say no to company, and they probably will say no because of the space there. And like, I know that there's been times where I'm like, nah, like, one, it's just easier for me to just wallow in self-pity and sit on the couch. Like, getting around is hard, but just doing is so powerful. And send the message. Send that message to the person who's on your mind, because you don't know how it's going to impact their day.
Chloe Molloy, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, Keith?
I am so glad that we're doing this. We've been talking about doing this for a little while.
Ages.
And now we're here and we're doing it, and I get to spend an hour with my mate, so I'm very happy about this.
I'm just never in one spot for you. I'm so sorry. I'm here and then I'm there and then I'm here.
You are doing a lot of travel.
Yes.
Well, maybe not at the moment, and just to preface for those who are listening and not actually watching the episode.
Oh, yes.
We've got Chloe in a full knee brace. A full knee brace. We've got a little propped up on a little stand here. I do want to get into it, but before, how is the knee travelling? We're obviously a little bit more mobile than what we were.
So I'm 3 weeks post-op today.
Gotcha.
And travelling well, knee's good. I'm progressing where I need to. If you've done an ACL before, I'm at 1 degree, so I need to get down to 0. So I'm travelling pretty well. It's probably, more the mental challenge at the moment.
Yeah.
So you've got me at a very vulnerable time. It's between the ears. It's probably the most impactful thing right now. The knee's fine. Least of my issues, actually.
Well, it wasn't by intention.
No, actually ironic timing.
Oh, it was wild. Like, even our chats beforehand. I do want to touch on the knee, but beforehand, I want to know what's been going on lately. Like,
what's been going on?
You've had heaps happening lately.
Yeah, I have.
Had the AFL grand final last weekend. How was that?
Insane. And, I look at it and I'm so sad for the boys with the performance, just sad for them, because they went the whole year playing some incredible football, and you feel the emotions with them, and on grand final day, it's just sad. I just feel sad for so many people that you're close with.
How have you spoken to any of the boys after the fact?
You kind of give it, you're respectful of their space.
Yeah.
I've touched base with Broads, saw a few of them. Just in and amongst the club, and it's kind of the awkward, you don't really know what to say, and I guess saying nothing is probably the worst thing you do, so just acknowledge them, give them a hug, ask them what they're up to in the off season. But you kind of just embrace them, and that's what we do really well at the club, is just embrace each other.
What was your responsibilities on the day? Because I saw you there. It feels like you were everywhere. Like, you were knocking
I was
around.
everywhere, and I'm like, how was I everywhere?
Even when you came in, I'm like, you're not mobile. Like, you're 3 weeks post surgery. I was just like, how are you getting around? Because that's a big day on your feet, especially after an ACL. Yeah. Well,
I'm on 2 crutches also, so I'm partial weight bearing. So I was very reliant. Well, I am very reliant on other people. So I've lost my independency. Just made it work somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just happened. It all happened very quickly. They were like, do you want to meet Katy Perry? And I was like, yes, but I can't just get on a plane. Like, I need someone to travel with.
Yeah.
But I think that was an opportunity that I didn't really want this to hold me back from. So I went and asked the question. And the worst thing you can be told when asking a question is no.
Yeah.
And they didn't say no. So I got the incredible opportunity to meet a pop star. And I just thought she was an absolute weapon.
Yeah, what was she like?
She was so cool, Keegs. Like, cooler than you. And that's hard to do.
That's not that hard, Chloe.
She was witty. She knew the game, and I gained a lot of respect from that, because I was like, oh, you're not here just to promote your new album. You're actually really ingrained in the culture of Australia. You love it. She just knew a lot about the game and the league and history, and I really like that, because you have these, I guess, perceived stereotypical Americans,
but naturally though, right? Yeah.
So she was awesome. She literally put that stereotype to bed, and I was like, you're a weapon. I really enjoyed her.
When I saw the I think AFL or someone put up like a photo or video of you guys, I was like, oh my god, I like you hear, like, I like Katy Perry. I'm not a huge fan of Katy Perry, but like I like her songs.
Yeah, did I was like, I listened to a few songs.
When I saw that, I was just like, how good, Chloe? That's epic.
It's sick, and I guess that's the opportunities that can come through what I do, but managed to make that work. I met her. She probably thought, because Oscar McInerney and I, McInerney? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, sure.
Oscar, Big O, and me. So he had done a shoulder and I'd done my knee. So she probably looked at 2 of us going, so this is like, why would I play AFL? One, you get a dud shoulder and a dud knee, and we're both like, we can't move, but hey, we'll like handball and just talk to you. So it was good fun, very good fun.
Perks of professional sport, hey,
Perks of professional
rolling
sport.
with the injuries.
And I met Cody Simpson too, and I think that was my that was probably very close to being as cool as meeting Katy.
Really? Cody's one of the great men, though.
Yeah.
He's such a legend.
But I also was like the 12-y who loved his music.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Really?
I was that. So I was a bit like starstruck when I met him also.
What was his song with like Sean Kingston? It was like I or something.
I don't know.
So fun fact, me and Cody used to do surf lifesaving together.
No way.
At Northcliffe on the Gold Coast.
I'm so jealous.
So he was obviously a gun swimmer. Like
he's a gun swimmer,
naturally, like see what he's doing now. But he was like the best swimmer. So me and him would do this race called like the board rescue together.
Who won?
No, we were a team.
Oh, you were a team?
Yeah, so he would swim out to the cans and then I'd be the board paddler, come up, pick him up, and then he would jump on the board and then I'd be behind him and then we would paddle in. I think it was like state. We were winning, but we got stuck in a lull and we ended up losing. But that's all right.
That's a claim to fame right there. That is absolute
But
claim
then it's
to fame.
cool, like he's done a full circle back because I was like knocked around with a few of the swimmers like Mac Horton, Bo, Josh, and like they all love their saunas. So like we would all like, and like Mac built his own sauna from scratch. So he has like this wood fire sauna in his backyard when he was on the coast. He's back living in Melbourne now.
He built his own sauna?
He built his own sauna. It's so sick. I'll show you photos after the podcast, but it was so cool because we would all like go in there. And this is the first time like reconnecting with Cody after like 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were like talking about like what he's got up to and like he's lived that life, right? And it's so wild for him to do that and then now come back into professional sport and swim.
It's bizarre.
It's wild.
They're just two very differing worlds.
Yeah.
Very different worlds. So intriguing.
But even the dynamic with like him and Emma, right? Like they just want to be better, right? They're just both going through it. Like it's sick.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it'd be bloody cool if you get him on here.
Leave it with me. Leave it with us.
I'm more interested in how Mac build a sauna. I want to know. Give me the instructions.
I know. That's what I said to him. I was like, are you like handy at all? Do you know like anything like carpentry wise? And he's like, nah, I've got no idea. He literally just like bought this kind of like trailer thing because he wanted to have a sauna that he could take around because he knew he wasn't going to be on the Gold Coast forever. So it's a trailer, but he built like this kind of box around it, insulated the whole thing, and then sort of like made a hole where like the fire pit could like go in out the back, and so he would like light this fire. Very wholesome. Mac's a very wholesome guy. But
I'm thoroughly impressed.
Really cool. Well, you would bounce back and forth to Melbourne, so maybe next time we're in Melbourne, we'll try and line one up.
Maybe if Mac could build me one, and I'll buy it off him. He can invoice me what it's cost him. I would love a portable sauna.
I don't know if Mac's got the time to build another sauna. It took him ages to build it, but you just get a little sauna sponsor. You could hit up the crew.
But imagine building one and just sitting there going, I built this with my bare hands.
You know what?
I reckon it'd be like I don't know, like it just would hit different.
There is something about like building something with your own hands though, and like sitting there and like, oh, this is something that I did.
Yeah, but then I think I'd be so concerned. I'd be like, all right, how long is this going to last?
Did I fuck it up? Yeah. Hey, we're digressing. Hey, I want to know what it was like growing up in the Molloy household. Obviously, like brothers, sisters, like playing other sport. Like what did it look like growing up?
It was a constant battle of trying to get us from outside. We would argue dessert would be outside time. It was bizarre. Yeah. Wow. So I grew up on a street with pretty much all boys. And we lived in houses just next to each other. So Braids, Joel and Nick, we were like the kind of awesome foursome, and we'd cause trouble on the top of Burke Street. So I think I'm very blessed in that my parents were very encouraging of getting outside, being active.
It's in Melbourne?
Melbourne, in a town called Whittlesea. So semi-country, it's a bit more built up now, but I was very lucky also. This is insane to even think that I had this growing up, is my grandparents had the block of land and they sold half of it to my mum and dad. And so actually we had an acre, and Nan and Grandpa lived down this end, and Mum and Dad and us, we lived here. And it was a pathway just down to them. So
sick.
That's privilege one, that I could even be that close to grandparents. But I also think it's created a really false sense of hope that that's what I'll be able to have, because that's what I would love to give my kids. But yeah, so grandparents were just there, house was here, all ball, like we had any ball sport, we had space, grass, play sets, we'd build swings. So pretty much very, very active, and we were given a lot of opportunities where went to school, walked to school, had so many people in like this little small town, so kind of everybody knew everybody. And I was just blessed with a lot of opportunities in my education. in my sporting abilities. I did guitar lessons, I did drum lessons, I did keyboard lessons. Was no good at the three of them.
I was going to say, you're the full package.
I didn't say I was any good at them. Played cricket, played basketball. Dad played cricket for Whittlesea. Mum played local netball. Just like this little local town of Whittlesea Eagles they were called. And just grew up playing any sport that I could there. And I was the only girl playing a lot of the boys' sports, but that was just normal.
Sounds like a very like wholesome, active,
so wholesome,
like lifestyle growing
and very
up, right?
engaged parents as well.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to talk about. What did you learn, or what have you taken from your parents? Because obviously they played sport at a very high level as well. What did you learn from them?
The investment, and that can go on a very broad scale. But my parents were so invested in us kids. So I grew up with my younger brother Zach and my older half brother Dylan. And they were so invested in what we did. We would drag Dad outside. He'd play with us. Mum would come outside and play with us, and like they were obviously both very elite and athletic. Actually, Mum used to not be. Mum was over 100 kilos at one stage when she had, So she met my dad when she had a kid already. So my older brother Dylan.
Yeah.
And Dad met her when she was, and this is not to speak ill of anything, but when she was not at her best.
Yeah.
And he loved her unconditionally. And I think that is what I'm just thinking about now is they just love us for who we are. And I just think it is the most wholesome, true love story that Dad had Mum at probably her worst and said, I love you no matter what. And then, had myself and Zach. And then it's just the cutest thing. I think Dad is one of the best people in the world.
Yeah.
We had, I think, what I learned was investment into your kids at a young age will really shape them to be, I think, the adults that they are nowadays, and you learn from your experiences. And
well, I look at someone like you, like the investment piece. I look at you, the way you invest in your friends is as well, but also like your friends, like your relationships, not just from like a monetary point of view, but like almost like an emotional investment because you care, right? Like you care about your friends and the people around you, like, and so I can see that crossover 100%.
Yeah, and that's what I'd learned massively from Mum. So Dad was kind of out travelling with Zach, and Mum was with me. Just obviously we were doing different sports at the time, and Mum would do anything for us kids. She pursued my goals and my dreams as much as I did. I'm born in December, so I couldn't drive. So all I remember during high school is Mum actually moved her job to Kilmore. So I went to Assumption College, Kilmore. Yeah. She moved her job to be at St. Patrick's Catholic school just around the corner, so she could be closer to me, so she could drive me to go to my basketball training.
That's
and that's
wild.
Insane. And I took it so for granted, and I look back and I'm like, Chloe, you were such a bitch. Like, I would wait around talking to friends and then get in the car, and I wish I could apologise, and little Chloe could apologise and be like, you were so snobby and so entitled. Like, that's not normal for a parent to drive. Like, I'm so privileged and blessed, and that's the investment that Mum would do anything for me. And I think that's I've grown up. I saw Mum do that, and I've obviously had time to reflect and the power of reflection. And I'm like, wow, she did so much for me. And I'm like, and I guess I give that back in spades now, one to her, but also to the people that are around me because... I just couldn't believe that, an individual would do that, and that's my mum. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to be half the person that you are.
I love that because I think like even like what we see, that's all we know, right? Like that's all we know. And then because I think about it the exact same, like my parents are very similar, and I was like, well, that's the kind of the dad that I want to be. Like I want to be around and I want to be present. However, I realize that's probably going to be a little while away. So like just settle in, grind now. You've got such like a great opportunity in front of you. So just like leave that for later. Yeah. What other sports did you play?
Played cricket.
Yeah.
Played softball, gave softball a crack. Played netball, but refused to play in a skirt. So then didn't want to play.
Why? What was that about?
I don't know, it just wasn't me. I didn't feel right. And back then, obviously, the social norms... You had to wear a skirt to play, and I was like, I'm not wearing a skirt.
Yeah.
So ignorantly, I was like, breaking gender norms back then before I even knew it. And I was like, I'm not playing unless I can play in shorts. And they're like, no, you need to play in a skirt, like it's mandatory. And I was like, you know what? Not playing then. Just didn't play.
So you're doing that OG. How old were you?
Oh, I would have been 10 or 11. Mum wanted to play netball. It was Mum's dream to play netball with her kid. And I could have played, I was at an age where I could have played we're there on social Wednesday nights. But I was like, I'm not wearing a skirt. I'm not playing. So and now obviously the society we live in is that's not, you don't have to wear a skirt at social leagues anymore. You can wear shorts if you want to. But yeah, I was like, nah, not wearing a skirt.
But but I feel like you've always been, so you must have always been like having that like sort of hard exterior and also like believing what you want to believe in, right?
Yeah, and I think drawing this back to mum's a massive figure and she'll probably someone that I always refer back to. She helped me grow. Like that is not something that comes easy in just, sometimes conforming is a lot easier because, if you go against the grain, you get ostracised. And but I remember I actually was going to go to college in year 12 and I also remember at a very young age, I think it was moving to 13s to 14s or 15s. When I played basketball, I played domestic rep basketball for Diamond Valley and I wanted to play for Eltham. And Mum was like, all right, well, you can make the call to the coach. And I was like, well, no, I don't want to do it. Like, you do it. She's like, nah, your decision, you have to do it. And I hated her for it because I don't like confrontation. She's like, no, you can ring Chris and you have to tell him why you're going and thank him. And I hated it, absolutely hated it. So I had to call Chris and say, hey, I'm moving from Diamond Valley. And these were conflicting clubs. Yeah. And I was one of the better players at Diamond Valley and Eltham were really strong. So it was really, ironically, it was like Collingwood to Sydney. Yeah. And I had to call and I hated it, but I look back at it now, I'm like, I'm so glad she made me do that. I'm so glad that she pushed me to be uncomfortable. And then again, in year 12, I was going to go to college on a 4-year scholarship. And
over to where? Like this?
Over to VCU.
Is that the States?
Was it VCU? Yeah, over in the States.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this happened. This was ages ago. Yes, I had offers. I'd actually signed a contract and said I was going over, and then the AFLW came about. And I played football growing up, loved it. Had relatives that played AFL, and I was like, nah, not going, not going. And Mum was like, you can make the call then. Yeah, and I was like, oh, I don't want to. Like, I've just signed, a contract, which is a binding agreement document. And I was calling as a year 12. Mind you, I'd done all this work to get to the ultimate goal of going to college, and I had to change my year 12 subjects to suit NCAA eligibility. And she's like, it got me a bit to get there. She challenged me on the decision, and she, was I just wanting to do the cool thing? Was I wanting to do what was popular and trendy? And I was like, no, I want to play AFLW. I want to play football again. So she made me make the call again and hated it. I had to get on Skype, and it was obviously a bit of a time difference, and say I don't want to come anymore. And that was huge. That was huge. They're two massive moments where Mum pushed me to be uncomfortable in making decisions that ultimately I want to do and make me happy. But yeah, they're two moments that Mum really, really forced me to get out of my comfort zone.
I look at these little experiences that we have because obviously externally you're very confident, you're very out there, and you're very friendly, and may sometimes seem like a little bit stubborn or like in your locked in your own ways. You know what I mean? But then I hear you talk about this as like these little experiences. Do you reckon that these experiences like sort of helped you to become like the confident, outgoing person you are now?
Absolutely. I think they built foundations on it, and I haven't just rested on them. I've gone and I've done a lot of work as well in terms of, these sort of conversations that you have with people and being involved in the sporting world. You're blessed with so many knowledgeable people around you. And when I was drafted into the AFLW, I was a bit stubborn and a bit strong-minded, but that was also my biggest assets. Yeah. But I've also worked at them. I do a lot of workshops. I've worked with psychs. I work with sports psychs. So yes, they're there and they're built from a young age, and I think they go back to your childhood experiences, what shaped me as Chloe. But I definitely still work at that. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you do come across really confident." And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. Like I've learnt how I want to portray myself, which I guess is sometimes the power of social media as well, especially going through an injury. You put out there what you want people to see, but I also work at that, and it doesn't always come easy. I don't like confronting conversations. Yeah. Yes, I am confident, but I also don't like hurting people. No one likes hurting people. But God, when I have an idea and I'm stubborn about it and I'm really strong-minded, I've learnt now that I also need to have a conversation, discussion, not just project my, opinion onto others, especially being in a captaincy role now too.
I do want to talk about leadership before we do. Does your external, like, outgoing, like, confident personality always match your internal dialogue?
Absolutely not. No way. I literally have already crossed my mind. So, like, I'm 3 weeks post-op, and every time I go there, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough for people. Like, you know, they have this perception of Chloe Molloy, and I think I burst onto the AFLW scene and set a really high bar and a high standard for myself, and won some individual accolades, which I guess credited the talent that I had. But, you know, I constantly worry, is my next season going to be as good as my last one? Am I going to become, you know, straight away I feel like I'm irrelevant to the world because I now can't do what I can do in football sense. I feel so much pressure, and I guess, you know, but I enjoy also having that pressure. I think that's come and kind of trying to view it as it's pressure is a privilege, but absolutely not. I'm probably one of the biggest overthinkers. If I muck up, I feel like I've let so many people down. Having, I guess, the spotlight that I have also opens me up for a lot of scrutiny and criticism. And yeah, I think a lot of the time I can really mask it, but yeah, when I get to home and to a safe place, yeah, it kind of all comes out, and yeah, the pressure is hard to swallow sometimes.
I was going to say, what are the themes that sort of pop up? Is there a couple of themes that pop up pretty consistently? Yeah,
just like I think everyone, once they've got a view on you, it's really hard to change that. Even on the football field, I think, you know, I don't like. I think, I don't know. I just get I'm so misunderstood at times. And I know with extra attention on the football field, it's like it is a compliment to you because you are considered a good player and there is the attention. But sometimes I don't know. I'm just like I'm not arrogant. I'm really not arrogant. Maybe it comes across in my football, but I'm so confident in my skills and ability. But it really does affect me off the field. What people say on the football field, I'm like, God, they don't even like me. Like, I just get so in my head, and then I'm like, am I even that good? Like, you know, you have a bad game to your standards, and you go, God, like, I just know what they're going to write about me now. I know, and this isn't even on the level that some elite athletes have. So, like, I feel like I sound a bit dumb saying it because I'm not as, you know, but I just think, I let so many people down when I muck up, and it hits me hard.
I don't think you can compare, like, in terms of, like, status or like how hard things are, because the hardest thing you're going through is the hardest thing you're going through, right? Yeah. And I think, like, that's such a big piece of the conversation, right? Like, and I look at you, who's someone, like, obviously super high achiever, and I think a lot of high achievers, they do put a lot of pressure on themselves naturally, especially when that's their expectation that's already been set, right?
Yeah, and then with those high achievements, you get these benefits of, like, meeting celebrities, so to say, and doing these things. But I'm like, sometimes I think people just go, oh, she just gets given it. Like, oh, she just gets given those things. I'm like, no, like, I actually work at it, and I wish that you guys knew if I could bring my teammates along to every single thing that I do, I would. Yeah. And I get so many benefits, like Nike, you know, I get Nike boots and shoes, and I have supplies given to me, but a lot of people don't know I give a lot of my boots to my teammates because I know you guys don't get that. Yeah. And I get a lot of benefits, and I'm aware that I'm privileged and in a position of, like, but I want to help you guys out too. So, you know, I give my boots to my teammates. I sent one of my teammates some money to buy herself some new shoes because I saw the shoes she liked online. So I was like, you'd love that. And I don't know, yes, I get them all, but I don't want to reap the benefits all myself. And I'm like, I wish people knew how much I probably did for a lot of other people, because I don't know, I don't do that wanting the attention either, but also I get, you know, perceived as arrogant, cocky, and I'm like, God, I'm really not those things, and it hurts when I hear them said about me.
But it's like, you're not publicizing these things. Like, obviously this is a very safe space for us, but, like, you don't do that. And the biggest thing that I've got from the last couple of years of knowing you is, like, like I've said it before, like, you really care about your friends. But who are the people that you lean on? Like, you talked about, like, you've gone through, like, some pretty, you know, tough times, especially at the moment, which I do want to talk about the injury. But is there a couple of people that you lean on?
Yeah, well, I would say there's more than a couple, and that's, I think you you read what you sow, and especially the moment this happened, my teammates, and even beyond that, I genuinely was overwhelmed with so much support of people saying, if you need, I'm here. If you need, I'm here. And I took the time to get back to every single one of them, and some people would think I'm crazy. But I'm like, people generally took 30 seconds out of their day to message me, and I'm like, that means so much to me. And I want to acknowledge that they took the time to, one, think about me, write a message. Like, a lot of people, you don't have to do that, but it's the power of, a small part of your day could mean so much to someone. And it did, and having an overwhelming amount of support from friends, best friends, strangers, family, I was so motivated, and it's helped now. Like, I'm 3 weeks post-op and I'm still getting drips and drabs of people messaging me like, hey, just want to check in. I'm like, oh my God, the timing of your message is so needed, because I was about to spiral, and then you get a message from someone. And but a big supporter who's a genuine saint is my partner Jade. She was there on surgery day. She had to watch me cry whilst I tried to walk for the first time on crutches. I'm going through a pretty hard time at the moment, just between the ears, and I just know that if I need her, she'll be there, and she actions it as well. So she flew from where she played, which was a 2-hour flight, to Brisbane, and then flew to Sydney to be here with me just for...
She came all the way to Sydney to spend time, but only for like a day. Like Jade dropped you off here this morning. The love for Jade, one of the greats, and even just like those little actions.
Yeah,
huge.
It's helped me, because I you don't want to. It's hard to admit when you're struggling, and she said you need to tell me, but then my complex is, well, if I tell you I'm struggling, then I'm gonna make you struggle, and I don't want you to struggle. But yeah, I messaged her and I said, I'm struggling, I really need you. And she was just there, and she's been a big one. She's just constantly, she's doing what she can from afar, just checking in daily. She asks the deep questions, not just how you going? She's talk to me, what'd you do today? What'd you achieve today? And then, someone who shows up for you as well is what means a lot. She is incredible. I don't know what I did to deserve someone like her, but she's helped me in the first really rough few weeks of my injury. And it's not even just that, she's supported me well beyond before I even did this. Just as a person, she didn't even know who I was before we even met. She just loves me for me. And one thing actually, little backstory I used to worry about was, are you just with me, or do you just like me because of who I am? And she's like, I didn't even know who you were. So humble yourself,
get off your high horse.
Yeah. But she, I could name so many more, but I just think she is just one of the best things to ever happen to me. And she's really honestly saved me in these past few weeks when the head noise has gotten really loud.
I think that's such a great thing, especially when we have these types of conversations. What do you do when you're leaning on people, when people are going through a tough time? And a big thing that I've got about it is it's not really what you say, but it's more just about being there.
Yeah.
And and even just the fact that she flew all the way here, and I was like, when are you going? She's like, I'm gonna get back later tonight. And I was like, what are you here for 12 hours? Or she's 24 hours. She's I wanted to be here. So the power of being there, I think that's super beautiful.
It is insane. And sometimes even I think about it not in a partner sense, if you know someone who's going through something, it's almost don't ask, just do. Because no one's ever gonna say no to company, and they probably will say no because of the space they're in. I know that there's been times where I'm nah, one, it's just easier for me to just wallow in self-pity and sit on the couch. Getting around is hard, but just doing is so powerful. And send the message. Send that message to the person who's on your mind, because you don't know how it's going to impact their day. I was in bed the other night crying, thinking how irrelevant I'd become. I can't do I can't help my teammates. They're away in Melbourne too, and I just... I have a housemate, but you just the noise gets so loud that you can't even rationalise anything. And then I've been watching AFLW, and I'm like, God, it just keeps ticking along. Life doesn't stop, and nor should it. But just send the message. And I got a message at 8:35 from someone, and they complimented me and said, I've just done interviews with future draftees, and a lot of them said how much they look up to you and aspire to be someone like you, and they just want to make sure you're okay. And I just lost it, and I messaged back to them and I said, you have no idea that just stopped me from probably having one of the worst nights and spiraling. Wow. Because of how motivating that, like, all I needed was just like a little switch, and it just stopped me from going into this black hole. That's
so wild. Ali Day talks about that. Yeah. The Iron Man. He does this thing where if he thinks something, he'll say it.
Just say it.
Or if you're thinking about someone, he'll send the message. And when I heard that, I was like, that's so true. Because imagine how many thoughts that we have, or even like when you first see someone, that's such a great way to make someone not only feel comfortable, but also like really happy. Like say if like they got something similar, like they got a little haircut. I was like, fuck, how good's the hair? Or like they might have been training hard. Like how good's the rig looking at the moment?
Observing,
you know what I mean?
Just say it. And it, like you said, how good, like some people are like, nah, like I feel weird saying it. It's like, just say it.
Yes.
Like just say it, because you have no idea the headspace or the battles that person's having. And, you know, I'm very good at masking. So, you know, I could sit here and smile at you and say things are going well, but they're really not. But I don't want to be a burden to anybody. So I'm able to put that mask on, which, you know, on a flip side is really concerning, because you can, you know, we can just put these masks on and just go about our days. And like I would just send the message, like compliment them. Like you don't know how powerful you are. We all have this power in us to change someone's day. And I'm encouraging even my team, just if you think someone played well or did something good in the game, like just go tell them. Like don't tell me, tell them. Like
let me zoom in on that mask thing, because I know we've had conversations before about. You said that you were you struggle to ask for help, and you've almost been forced to ask for help now because your independency has been taken away because you can't drive here. Like something as easy as like, oh well, I'll meet you at the studio to record the podcast. You're like, oh well, I've actually got to like ask someone to take me there. Like all these little intricacies. How are you traveling now? Like having to actually ask for help. Like is that something that's learnt?
I don't know. I think I've had 3 major injuries now, and I think it'd be remiss of me if I didn't take a learning out of it or view it as an opportunity to grow in other spaces. And I think one for me right now is imparting knowledge is one of the first lessons on the team, my younger team, Swannies at the moment, we have a majority of listeners under 23. So one of my first, I think, lessons and why this has happened to me is, you know, it's time you need to impart knowledge. And then the second one is obviously I have things that I need to grow in, and one of those is asking for help and not being ashamed that you know, someone said to me the other day, they go, you do it for us, so let us do it for you. And I'm like, yeah, but, and like, no buts. Like, you would do it for us in a heartbeat. And I'm like, yeah, but I guess I struggle to accept the help because I want to do everything myself, because I'm always the fixer. I fix everything, so, you know, I've got to fix myself. And it's like, well, no, you genuinely can't fix yourself. So put the pride aside, put the ego aside, and just ask for help. And yeah, like it is the little intricacies of, you know, I need to get up, I need to ice my knee, but also when I shower, I need to glad wrap it. But then I need scissors in, you know, I need masking tape. I need to get out the shower, in the shower. And it takes the routine now is, you know, I can't carry a water bottle. If I'm hungry, I need to ask. Like I can't just get up and get it myself. But even just yesterday, one of my teams like, how are you going? I was like, I'm not great. And they're like, lean on us. And I'm like, yes, like I'm trying. Like I'm trying. I have been asking more so. And it's even just like straight away, you have your people that are close. And every time that I've asked for help, they've been so willing to. So yeah, I guess a little bit of it's on me to start reaching out. I think that's also part of my leadership is asking for help as well. I don't have to do it all myself.
Do you think everything happens for a reason?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Whether you figure out the reason within the first 24 hours or whether down the line, you'll figure it out. But yeah, I genuinely think everything happens for a reason.
It sounds like you've already reflected on this. Like you've already reflected on this. Like you came in with the dot points. Like number one, this is what I'm learning, and number two, I've got to learn how to ask for help. That seems like. Have you always been like a reflective person?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not in the early parts of I actually was, this sounds so bizarre to say, but I was blessed with an injury in the early stages of my AFLW career. I did my Liz Frank, which kept me out for a season. And I think in that was probably one of the biggest learning curves, and also just, I think, corners in my entire lifespan, because I I was young coming into the league, and instantly it's almost like a little humbling year for me. It was like, okay, well, you can't be the incredible player that you were. Like, what else are you going to do now? And that's when I'd put all my eggs in a football basket, and that was taken away. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So I started studying. I invested in friendships, relationships. And I think from there, that's really kind of triggered this, I guess you have a toolkit in life. And I kind of started putting that tool in there. I was like, reflect, find purpose, find reason. So in my first foot injury, my first major injury, I think that's where the tool of being able to reflect on things came about. And then I did my back. I had back surgery.
Full major back surgery.
Yeah. It's all happened on the right side too. So something's up with the right side.
Yeah.
But it started from that. And then I think hence why 3 weeks post-op, I can look at it and go, okay, you've got to try view it like this. Yes, the first week was horrific, and I have had really shit days. But yeah, and the purpose of your days becomes harder and harder to see when it gets foggy up here. But yeah, I think I've always reflected on things, because I think that's what keeps me just slowly ticking along and slowly moving forward.
It seems like you're on a pursuit to be, I guess, like the best version of yourself. Like,
absolutely.
Like not just like you could obviously say like physically from a football point of view, like that's obvious, but also from like a personal point of view as well. In the lead up to this conversation, I had a few chats with like some friends that you talk to, and a common theme was you've dialed into your recovery lately. You've taken it to another level. Why is that?
I have one body and I want to respect it as much. And if I'm demanding so much from my body as an athlete, I think the due diligence of looking after it and getting it to the best state. And I think it came from when like Whoop helped me.
The Whoop.
Yeah. Like it's not even, I'm not even trying to plug them here or anything, but it flipped my mindset and meeting so many people there, and you hear those conversations that you have. And Tay Harris spoke, and you know how people just there's these little eggs that come out, and it just like triggers your head. At the Whoop event. Yeah, when you interviewed it.
Gotcha.
And like that was only just like a few months ago. What was it, months ago now?
It was the start of the year. That was a sick little event.
Yeah. So
just for those people who are listening, it was, Whoop did like a relaunch of the brand in Australia earlier this year. Like this beautiful place, and they invited some crew down. We got you there, Millie Boyle, Kelly Davis. So there was a good little crew. I didn't know that was your first experience with it though.
Yeah, that was first experience, and I was a good athlete. I did what I needed to do, but I don't think I was educated. So I was thinking I was doing the most that I can to be the best that I can.
Yeah.
But then I had, this came into my life, and then I start meeting and networking. You go, oh my God, I could do so much more for myself. And I just viewed it. I was like, God, I could be so much better.
Yeah.
Like how the mental space, even not just for an athlete scope, just as a person, like even right now I'm struggling not having a routine of being able to sauna, cold plunge, like boots, the normal tech boots, stuff like that. I can't do that, and that like it's really messing with me up here, because that made me feel good. And then when I felt that sense of, oh my God, I feel like, I'm on cloud nine, like my body is able to meet a high demand that I want from it consistently and for longer periods of time. So I really dialed into that, and I also thought, I could be a real role model as well in how I want to approach, I guess, my daily life and the small sacrifices, because footy's going to be that much of my life when I'm sitting with grey hair, probably had another couple of knee surgeries, and I just didn't want to leave any stone unturned. And I thought that was one that I thought I had kind of tapped into, but then I had this epiphany and this big experience, and I was like, I am doing the bare minimum. And I was like, I can't be someone who does the bare minimum. So I was like, I need to dial in. I want to make time. I want to prioritize how good it makes me feel and recovering. And that's not just in the sauna and cold plunge, but like my sleep, all these like tiny little like mouth tape, magnesium spray.
Talk to me what you're doing, because who was I think I was talking to Alicia, probably Jade as well. They're like
I'm a little nerd.
They're like Chloe's such a nerd at the moment. She even did a video, like her nightly routine video that she sent to all her teammates. Like, Chloe, you can't do that.
Yeah.
What is it? What does the night routine look like?
Yeah. Well, even just before I tell you what the night routine is, that's like exclusive information. But we'll give it on Keys' podcast. Yeah. I do that also because people, I don't do it for show, but I'm like, people see me do that and it's like, that's why I am good. It just doesn't happen because people go, oh, she's just lucky. I'm like, no, I actually put in the work behind the scenes. It's not an accident when something goes right for me or when I do something, because I generally set myself up for as much success as I can have. And I guess that's why, I didn't just do it for that reason, but I just it's nice. I want people to know that it doesn't just happen for me. I'm very heavily, actively invested in my body and what it does and how it moves and how it works. But the night routine, this is on extreme. This is when I need a good sleep.
Yeah.
This is so embarrassing. So I'm very like my restorative sleep. I very much listen to when Whoop tells me to go to bed. So I'll boil water and I'll put Vicks Vapor up.
Yeah.
So I'll put a spoonful in that and then put my head over a tea towel and breathe just through the nose, and then I do that for a couple of minutes just to open up the airways, and then I will jump into bed. And I've actually bought this new 8 Sleep, which is a body temperature.
I was talking to Alicia about this.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a game changer. It cools your bed down?
Yeah, it cools bed, and then so you can set it. There's 4 stages overnight, and you can set it for how you like to sleep. And then it also has this autopilot feature that will it tracks you whilst you sleep. So if I start having a hot flush, it'll cool the bed down, so then I can stay in a deeper sleep for longer. Because when you have a hot flush overnight, you kind of wake up. But the whole purpose is I don't want to be waking up.
Yes.
So yeah, it cools the bed down. It regulates your body temperature of how it's crazy. It is
seems like a game changer.
Yeah, and this is this is not sponsored either. I have paid for all of these things. It's called 8 Sleep.
8 Sleep.
8 Sleep.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay,
and it wasn't cheap, but it is I look at it as an investment into myself. So why would I not spend it? So then I jump into bed. By then the bed's probably cooled down for me. And then I'll put on my Elevate mouth tape, and that's my favourite one because it's got these 2 little holes, so you doesn't feel like you're covered and claustrophobic, and it comes off really easy.
That's the one thing with mouth tape, because I feel like it would get stuck in my moustache. Yeah,
it gets stuck in mine too, but that's okay.
But I was just mouth, the whole trend of mouth, it'd be cool to try it. But I was I get stuck in my moustache. I don't want my moustache ripping off. So. Anyway, carry on.
It's not bloody duct tape.
Oh, well, fuck, I don't know. Anyway, carry on.
So, yeah, duck, obviously, for visualization, I'm in bed now with mouth tape on, and I'll do one of, normally it's slow deep or slow Rory Warnock's breath work.
Oh, Rory, one of the great men.
Yep, one of the great men.
Do you use his Spotify playlist?
Yep, I do the guided one.
You actually do it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yep, and I log it because I like to see where my heart rate is, and I like to get my heart rate down before bed so it's not spiking. So the first part of my sleep isn't my body working to drop my heart rate. So I do one of them, only 5 because I can't concentrate for too long. I'm actually at the point where I can recite the whole thing. So I'm like, Rory, bring out some new ones, please.
And he's got such a beautiful, therapeutic
maybe high,
voice.
Maybe low. And I'm like, okay, I know when that's happening. And then I'll do a breath work. And what else do I do? And then that's kind of it. And then
is that it?
Into bed, is it? Yeah, that's it. I said it's just pull the dinner back, jump into bed.
So when you were doing this video to send to the team, did you have Jade or someone following you around to put the towel over it?
There's no way. I was not going to feel that shame. Nah, they wouldn't even shame. They actually love it. Jade's a massive supporter, and she's like, "You are such a nerd," and I love it. She's like, "I love seeing you invest into yourself," because it's even her. She's like, inspires me to look after myself more, and I want to better myself, and we talk about well-being, but it's being well, and that's helping me up here. Yes, physically I'm getting all these benefits, and sleep's one I really honed into. But yeah, I guess that's the routine.
Is there what was I gonna say, because obviously that's obviously a pretty thorough routine.
Yeah.
context. So I imagine like there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I would love to try like aspects of this. Probably don't have a lot of time to do the whole thing. Just for context, like you're not doing that every night, but if you wanted to really dial in and really get a good night's sleep or prioritize it, that's something that you would go to.
And it's about prioritizing. If it's important to you, you'll find time for it, and I find time for that. I don't do the whole routine every night, but if I've gone through a bit of a bad patch with sleep and I'm like, I just need to get the best sleep that I can. I want to set myself up for the best sleep. It's like setting yourself up for a game. You want to do X, Y, and Z before a game, but sometimes it doesn't always happen. And if I was to encourage someone who wants to try, I would say Rory's breath work, just a 5-minute one, just to kind of relax the nervous system before bed, is one that I would try. And it literally goes for 5 minutes. Because one thing I think I worry about with breath work, and it was the stigma I had before I tried it, was I can't sit there for that long. Like I can't, my brain just wants to go here, and here, but I can only do the guided ones, because if I sit there for too long, I start thinking about everything other than what I am doing, and then I'll listen to my heartbeat and whatever it is. But I would try, Rory Warnock's breath work. It's
on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, epic. I think I just circling back to that chat that we did with Taylor at the Whoop event, the biggest thing that I got from that, and it seems like everything that you've spoken about already, is like investing in yourself. Yep. Especially in the female space, because like there's a handful of players like yourself who can do it full time, which is unreal, but there's still a lot of part-time players, and obviously that's a time thing. Yep. But the cool thing about that, what Taylor said, is like, no, you've got to invest in yourself. Like if you want to be the best player and bring the standard of playing up, you've got to go like do those massages, go do the recovery, like go work on your skills and actually put the effort in. And she's like, it was almost like you can't expect to be full-time without doing the work, and that's kind of like what I got from it. Yeah,
and then like I'm in a position where I can do all of that as well, and I've actually already used all my health rebate on massages, so now that's fully out of pocket. Yeah. But it makes me feel good, and I know, like I sit here and there would probably be some people listening to me like, I can't do that though because I need, to subsidise my income. But I say kudos to those people, because they're the ones helping grow the game, or whatever they're doing, whatever space it is. They can't do something full time, but their impact is so much larger than what they think as well. And if anything, I'm like, I just wish they could feel the benefits of being able to do something full time. But unfortunately, with where the league's at, that's not going to happen next year or the year after that. But there's all these people helping grow the game to where it is, and I'm very fortunate. I'm well aware that I am someone who is reaped early benefits of being able to just solely focus on football. Yeah,
it's cool. It almost seems like a switch has gone off in your head. You talked about you had an epiphany where you're like, I've only got one body, like I want to give it my all. But it's also like you've got the opportunity to be like the best player in the AFLW. like I'm not pissing your pocket. That's a reality.
Thank you.
And so it looks like you can you're doing the work.
Yeah.
Like you got to do the work, and then obviously people say they're lucky, like people are lucky or you're lucky. It's like, nah, luck comes off the back of of volumes and being consistent of hard work.
I think luck, I got told this, is hard work puts you where luck can find you.
Yeah.
And it's one thing when people are like, no, I just got luck. I'm like, no, you didn't. You worked. You did that at training. Like that was not lucky. Like you own that moment. Like that didn't just happen. Like it doesn't just happen. So, that's one of my all-time favourite quotes, is hard work puts you where luck can find you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that piece. Role models. Who do you look up to now, or even coming into AFLW space? It might be an athlete, or it might be like a family or friend. Is there someone that you look up to?
Well, mum is all-time in so many spaces, and not even just in a sporting capacity. She just is the person that I want to somewhat be like, just the way she puts others first, and how hard she works, and she's so high in her job, and it's because she works at it, she puts in the hours, but she also has a balance between that. But I wouldn't say I have one role model. I think that would be so an opportunity miss if I was just to cap it at one person, because I'm like, I meet so many incredible people, Keegs, as would you, and I don't know if you'd struggle to say you have one single role model, because it's like you have these conversations with people and you get one each and you're like, oh my God, bang, I'm taking that. That's in the notes. And if you were my notes page, you could see so many quotes from so many people. And so I think I just enjoy being empowered by other people's experiences and knowledge and their journeys and which, you know, you're blessed with being on this podcast is you talk to so many incredible people and, you know, hopefully I'm somewhat up there, but
I'm very grateful to have you on, Chloe. Thank you.
I don't have a single role. My role model is everybody I meet. I think I try to take at least one learning from conversations that I have with people, whether it's I can help them or they can help me. I don't want to put pigeonhole myself to just one because I've met too many incredible people just to name one.
Has there been a learning or experience that has stuck out to you recently that you might have whacked in the notes?
I went to a leadership conference and the quote was, the first person to walk through the door is probably going to be punched in the face. And I was like, you're not wrong. Like, that's talking about change and making change. And, you know, that's probably what I say is like, okay, like being stubborn is a good thing. And you want to help change. It's probably going to suck if you're the first person to do it. But now that door's open and so many other people are going to be able to walk through it because of you. Yeah. And that satisfaction of being able to do that, that's one that recently got put in the notes and is sat there is, the first person to walk through the door is probably going to be punched in the face, but the benefits. Actually, that came from the rugby. When I spoke with Maddie Turner, who else was there? I have such a bad memory.
Maddie Turner from the Swifts?
Yep. It was the Rugby League Players Association. We sat up on stage.
Yeah.
Who said that? My head is...
Maddie Turner, yourself... oh my God, I'm blanking.
This is so bad of us. So bad.
This is terrible podcasting.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, oh my God, who was it?
I can't remember.
This is so bad for us.
Yeah, we'll come back to this.
We'll circle back. We'll see if we can put
it was there. It was said there.
Gotcha.
It was said there.
You spoke very well at that function, by the way.
Too kind.
Everyone was frothing. That
too
was
kind.
Frothing? Sorry. Gold Coast slang.
That is such Gold Coast slang. It was there. So they said it there. And I was like, yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. And I'm taking that.
Yeah, that's so cool. In terms of like speaking engagements and other third parties, like is there anything that's really exciting you outside of sport? Or even like...
This is one of the most exciting things I was going to do. I think... In all honesty, at the moment, the energy that I have, I'm trying to put back into me because I've had to say no to a few things, which is something I've also had to become good at is saying no when I know that I can't and I don't have the capacity to do much at the moment, which is okay. I actually am studying online though, so I know it's not a speaking gig or whatever it is, but this is something that I'm doing for myself at the moment to kind of keep me ticking along. Yeah. Because I just, in all honesty, because I don't have the capacity right now to
What are you doing?
I'm doing a short course with the AFLPA of player development and wellbeing course.
Sick.
Ironically,
so cool.
I know you probably could have called that.
Yeah.
So that's an online one that I'm just doing because that's genuinely, as sad as it sounds, that's all I have energy for at the moment.
Yeah. I'm going to do something with us now that I haven't actually done before on a podcast.
Okay.
I spoke to a few of your friends, and I've got a few voice notes from some of your friends. Let me see if you can. There's some questions, so it's like a little rapid fire, not a rapid fire question, but a little question.
But a serious one now. What would you say about moving to Sydney? Like, how has it changed you as a person? And also, what would you say to anyone who is considering a big move like that in their life?
Yeah, that is Jade Allenger's voice there.
Oh, you could pick it? I'm glad
I
you
could pick that. I hope I could pick that. My move to Sydney was incredible. Incredible. One of the best things I ever did in terms of getting the best out of myself. It was one of the bloody most hardest decisions I've ever had to make. Like, I grew up supporting Collingwood. That was, I spent six years there, and sporting clubs, you get so invested and emotionally invested, and leaving there was not easy. And I'm glad it wasn't easy because then I'd be concerned as to why it was. But I would encourage, if anyone was trying to make a big move, obviously, don't burn bridges. Don't do it in a disrespectful way. Sometimes that's kind of taken out of your hands. But I had a conversation with everybody at Collingwood before I left because I was like, I'm obviously making a really hard decision, and you're either going to hate me for it or you're going to continue to love me because of the person that I am, not because of my sporting decision. And I would say have the conversations before you, if you're going to make a big decision that, it is going to hurt some people because you spend so long with them. But the best thing I ever did for myself, I've been handed opportunities and given opportunities that I have created. I've been able to meet, I've been able to have an impact on a group, and that's probably one of the driving reasons, Keys, was, the AFLW is in such its infancy, and I was like, my purpose could be so much larger than what it is right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to do that. I have to do that. And hearing, I made the decision to give up college and to move teams back as there, I was like, I'd set myself and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. I'm being a known player to make a big move. And it was kind of frowned upon. And I actually will admit I frowned upon it early days too when North Melbourne were established. I was like, nah, I'm not leaving Collingwood. Then I think through perspective and reflection, I was like, actually, that was so beneficial for our game. And I'm, I look and I go, I want to be one of those people now. And I guess, apologetic for being so stubborn and not about it. And then I'm like, had years, and I guess the frontal lobe started to grow up, and I was like, I could have greater purpose than what I have right now. And we always talk about legacy in sport, and I was like, this is going to be part of mine. I want to be one of the players that, showed the league it's okay to move and make bigger moves, and I wanted, greater purpose. It was bloody hard. I loved Collingwood, and I wanted to help. I wanted to win a premiership there. I wanted all these things in the black and white, but the opportunity to move to Sydney presented itself, and I was like, I can't let this go.
Well, obviously, like, so many of the girls look up to you, right? And like the Collingwood girls, like some of the greats. Like you got some,
absolutely, some of the greats.
You got some really great girls there. But then when you moved to Sydney, like you got the chance to be captain of the club as well.
Yeah.
First of all, first question was, what did it mean to you being nominated by the girls and the coaching staff? And then secondly, does any pressure come with that, being a captain and marquee player?
Yeah, like pressure's going to come with that. I think pressure's just been felt throughout my career anyway. It's just sort of a different pressure. But, the captaincy was a shock. I just wanted to come in and, be respected by a group. I didn't want to come in and be like, I'm saving the world here, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just wanted to come in and I thought I had a good opportunity spending so long in the league at the moment, having so much knowledge to share, that I wanted to impart that on these future footballers, these friggin' young guns that are coming through. And I was like, I just want to help you guys get the best out of yourself, but also you guys help me get better. But to be nominated and selected by your peers is one of the most humbling things that could ever happen as an athlete. Then Luce and I was put into a co-captaincy position, and it was really late, so it was kind of trying to navigate leadership in the first part of pre-season when there wasn't anybody in a position. Then we got put into the positions. It's an absolute privilege, and the bridge between the coach and the players, it is difficult at times because, I guess you become people pleasers and you want to please everybody, and you don't want to have anyone upset. But I think that's me evolving as a leader, is like sometimes, you've got to let people fall on their own sword and not, leave them out to dry, but then help them through their mistakes. As I was once a young footballer before, but I think I've loved and thrived in the leadership position alongside Luce. We're yin and yang. We're learning off each other there. I think, being named one of the captains is very humbling, but I also, you take the title off me, I wouldn't change.
Yeah, love that. I've got another one for you.
I would love for you to explain to the audience why it took so long for you to open my letter, and then why it also took you 3 months to respond to said love letter.
That's a stitch. I was just like, that
is a stitch up. Oh, well, now I've got to give context.
Don't be embarrassed.
I'm actually not. It's probably a very beautiful story. So Jade and I have been on and off for a couple of years. And she actually mentioned that she's got a podcast as well, on air off script, that she does with her best mate, and she's explained her side of it. So she's absolutely stitched me up in giving my side. We were off, so now we were off in our off period, typical young relationships, on, off, how long have you been official for? Yeah. And she had written me a 3-page letter. We'd started slowly talking again. But at this stage, I was really hurt because I was very in love with her, and she didn't want anything. I was like, okay, well, I've got to move on then. I don't think you're ever going to come to your senses, so to say. And I didn't open it because I was so scared of how I was feeling. And I kind of had already assumed what the letter was going to be about, but I don't think I was in a position to hear that, because I was like, well, I'm not letting you hurt me again, because you've been there, done that, and I don't think I would be able to cope with being hurt again. And it took me so long because I was so worried that she'd run away again. If I, I didn't even give her a chance, but she was persistent. So I sat on it for so long, which was probably the most agonising 3 months of her life. And she was going through finals, and we were in finals too, and I just didn't have the respectful energy to put into the letter, which, is so bad. But I was like, no, for once I need to look after me. I always put other people first. I can't open this because I'm not in the space to read what's in it. But I eventually got there, and she actually asked me on a date, and I said, and I kind of pondered on it. I was like, no, like, you don't deserve that from me. Like, I've given you so much of myself. Like, no. And I said no to her. And then she FaceTimed. She's like, well, you need to tell me so I can move on. Tell me that you don't want, you don't want anything to do with me. Or I can't remember how she worded it. And I was like, she's like, Chloe, why did you hesitate? You just give me hope. And then she stayed persistent. And then I was like, no, like, I can't give you, like, nah, you've hurt me too much. It's not going to work. Like, she's like, you haven't even given me a chance. She's like, you haven't even spoken to me. We haven't even talked. And I was like, yeah, shit, that's a bit, God, I really need to have a conversation before I just make this big decision, because, how vulnerable she's been. And all I've ever wanted her is to be vulnerable. Be open with who you are, how you feel, fuck what people think. And I've always wanted that. And she finally did that. And how dare I not even give her an opportunity to talk? Like, I was just going to say no based off pen on a paper, which that small gesture was freaking huge. And, like, it's so cool that she did that and had that time in her life where she could reflect. But, yeah, I said no, and then she persisted, and I said, yeah, like, you are so right. Like, I haven't even had a conversation with you and even given you a chance to have a look at what our lives look like, because she's in Brisbane, I'm in Sydney. I just been named captain. We'd made it into finals. I was like, no, life's good. Like, I don't need you. Like, it's a want, not a need. And she's like, you need to have, like, I was like, nah, not going to work. Nah, not going to work. Stubborn.
Put it, yeah, that's
Stubborn.
you. Yeah.
And then she's like, Chloe, you need to give me the opportunity to talk about how long I've sat and thought about how our lives can work together. Then we sat and spoke, and I was like, yep, it's going to work.
She's got some valid points.
She's got very, very valid points.
She well thought about it.
She well thought. And then, yeah, I think that's why. The honest summary is because I just didn't want to be hurt again. I'd already been hurt enough, and I'd gone through a breakup. So I'd gone through a breakup, moving, back surgery, and I also got a really big tax debt, which had all the 4 triggers of what could, induce stress and whatever else. So, yeah, I said, no, you don't deserve it. But then all I wanted was for her to be vulnerable, and she'd finally done that, and how dare I not give her a chance to talk. And she persisted, and now she's, the best thing that's ever happened to me.
And now look at you guys, she's coming all the way down.
It is, and to her credit, the way she's able to self-reflect as well, and realise what she wanted, and then put her heart on the letter, and me have her sit for 3 months. So anyone who's written a letter out there, stay persistent, stay with it, keep the hope.
That's nice. Thanks for sharing that. That's
a stitch out of the question.
It's an interesting piece, because, to be honest, relationships isn't really something that I've had too many conversations with on this episode, which is interesting, because financial stress and relationship stress are 2 of the biggest contributors to mental health, suicide in males as well. But it's not often spoken about, right?
Really.
It's definitely something that I probably wouldn't want to talk about on air. So it is really cool that you're open to having these types of conversations, Chloe. I think it's really cool.
Well, I think the conversations can help someone, and it'd be so intriguing to get Jade on here to talk her how in depth she went with herself. Yeah. And I don't think she'd mind me sharing, but she journaled to herself for months on end to figure out what she wanted, who she wanted to be, and relationships are, like you said there, it's so impactful on how you're feeling. And right now I've got the opposite side of it. The relationship is what is keeping me afloat at the minute.
Yeah. I do love that piece. And how are you guys making it work? Because you obviously you're in Sydney, she's in Brisbane, she's with the Lions. How do you guys make it work?
We find ways. We just find a way. At the moment, I'm obviously not as physically able to be there. And I said that was one actually part of the factors of I can't leave Sydney. Like I'm so invested in what I'm doing here. Like I don't want to leave. Like I really want to put me first for once in my life. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I'll come to you. And I was like, okay. But in that it's the effort and prioritizing time, looking at time in the calendar. We never say goodbye without knowing when the next hello is going to be. And I don't know, I think one of the most joyful things I'm experiencing at the moment is watching her do what she loves. And she's studying a Masters of Nursing and she's absolutely killing it. She's on placement at the moment, and then she's playing really good football, and I'm like, God, like me watching you do your thing is like so bringing me so much happiness. And that's how I know I'm like, God, I'm just like so in love with this woman. Yeah. Is because, watching her do her thing is like fulfilling for me when someone else's success and happiness also becomes part of your life. Yeah, and you get energy from it as well, and like it makes you happy seeing them do well. Like, come to this realization recently, like a successful relationship, if you got two people like who are in tune with doing their own thing and they're dialed in, there's not so much like codependency, but then when you come together, it's still a beautiful thing. But you can also like encourage you can encourage your partner, they can do their own thing. It's like, how do we help you guys be the best person you can be, which just seems like what you guys have got at the moment. And she gets on planes and our velocity points have gone up, like, but I think in that, like in talking about investment, like at the end of our lives, like that money is not even going to, for the flight, is not going to be a thing. Like we're not even going to think about that. Like we're going to have these insane stories to tell our kids. But yeah, that's how we do make it work. It's one of the most beautiful things, cherished things that I have, and it's along with a lot of other friendships. But she challenges me too. She keeps me on my toes. It's not like, get on a flight and be there. It's like, all right, I've got to do this, and I still don't want her to take away from her life as well. Like she's so invested in Brisbane, and I love what she's doing there. She has so many quality friendships, beautiful friendships in Brisbane, and I'm like, I never want you to give up those things as well. Yeah. Because people are like, oh, let her come to Sydney, like come Giants, come to Sydney, and I'm like, no, she is like killing life over there. Like she is the best version of herself over there, and I will take all the time that I can when she can come here. And I just never want to take someone I love away from what they're doing. And she's so adored at that football club that I was like, no way. And she just signed a contract extension. So I'm like, no, go do what you got to do. Go pursue your life. Like, we're just two best friends who share in each other's success and each other's joy and each other's lows. But we find ways. Like I said, the one big thing is, if anyone is in a long distance relationship, like finding time to talk and quality time to talk. Obviously, it's going to be through a phone. I remember one stage, I was like, I don't want to be on my phone. She's like, well, Chloe, I'm on the phone. So if you need to prioritise time to FaceTime me, and I know you don't want to talk on the phone, but if you love me and you want to make time for us, like, Chloe, I'm on the phone. I'm like, shit. You're not wrong. Like, I'm being such a stubborn thing right now. And she's like, we are through the phone. That's just our reality. So we got to find ways to make it work. But for anyone going in a long distance relationship, it's never say goodbye without knowing when the next hello is.
Oh my God, this is so lovely.
Awesome.
I've loved this conversation. This has been so fun. I do have a gift for you though.
You better not. You don't have to do anything,
This is terrible podcasting. For those who are listening.
You don't have to do anything.
This is a gift from our partners at Lululemon. I've also put a Keegan and Company hat in there.
This is probably my favourite part of it.
Yeah, it's a hot girl hat. Hot girl walks with a ice long black.
You didn't have to do anything.
No, it's my pleasure. The team at Lulu have been doing some really great things. So you've got a whole heap of kit in there.
Thank you.
But no, thanks so much for coming on. Like,
no, it's okay.
This has been so fun. Like, I woke up this morning. Obviously, it's been a big weekend, being the grand final and everything, and I was so excited not only to have this conversation but to see you catch up. It's a good excuse to catch up, so thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for me. Like, I was in I'm in a pretty average spot right now, just with life and rehab and injuries and taking the world on your shoulders when I don't need to. But coming on, I was like, nah, I'm going. Like, I said I don't have my energy for much. I was like, no, I know that hour with Keegs is going to set me up for a better day than what I've had. So thank you.
Oh, that's so lovely. You had a good time?
I had a great time. I enjoy talking. Two, the energy that you give off is something that I selfishly needed right now to get me through. So thank you for having me.
You're the best. Thanks, Chloe.